Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. 1620 Essentials. This is episode 2. I am Rick Godley, and I do encourage you and appreciate, if you would, bookmark ATL-Ruston.com, also ATL-Lincoln.com. ATL stands for All Things Local. All Things Local, All Things Ruston. We're going to put the spotlight, if you will, on the local businesses, local events, local nonprofits in an episodic way. Episode 1 here at 1620 Essentials with Bobbie Williams. Last time was about the PTSD and how cannabis can help in the PTSD process. Well, we have another article that Bobbie wrote on his blog, 1620 Essentials, talking about caveat, beware. How safe is your cannabis? But first, Bobbie, thanks for your time. Tell us, 6 months old, things are going well. How's everything going?
It's going really well. Partially thanks to you. We're getting the word out there, and this is in large part a subject that not a lot of people are aware of. It's out there, but there's not. The details are hard to find.
Sure.
You know what I mean? You really have to spend time looking into it and kind of weeding through the marketing tactics and things like that. So, it's part of the reason we're here is to help people through that process.
Well, and here's the thing too, it's a learning curve, and a lot of folks and a lot of moving parts in the learning curve, and sometimes things are good, sometimes things are not so good. So it's up to the buyer. Caveat, let the buyer beware. In this day and age where we have 1620 Essentials, if you will, first of all, explain why you got into the business you're in, and then we're going to get into the details of folks we need to beware at this stage of the learning curve. We don't want the curve flattened. We want to be educated.
Right. In large parts of this, there's so much stuff out there now, as far as regular pharmaceuticals, alternative medicine, natural, homeopathic, everything, we go with the cannabis route because, it is natural. There are processes to extract certain things out of it, but if it's done in a safe manner, and they're not too far out there with it, everything's fine, and it does work really well, and there are good alternatives, over certain medications that may or may not have certain side effects, or, you have to counteract it with other medications and things like that. But, the end goal here is to just, make the community better, help people out, But with that, a lot of the times, sometimes everybody knows profit sometimes can get in the way of that, and somebody sees an opportunity for a new thing that maybe is a cheaper version or whatever that, a company can profit off of. That does happen, and because of the current regulations federally, there's not a lot of eyeballs on that.
Right. So that means there's a lot of opportunity for a lot of advantages to be taken, and some may not be in the best interest of you, the ultimate consumer. And matter of fact, an educated consumer is the best customer, and Bobbie here is to help you answer all your questions. If you have any questions, obviously sign up for the newsletter and come into 1620 Essentials in Ruston, right next and across from Super One here. Is it the Pinecrest Plaza?
Pinecrest Plaza.
The Pinecrest Plaza. Let's correct one myth before we get into the crux, if you will, of your blog. It's not a medical dispensary. Explain who you are, because it's also a hemp and gift store.
It is. We're basically just hemp in general. Mm-hmm. So with that, there's a lot of things that the hemp plant, the cannabis plant, can provide, whether it be fiber and hemp seed stuff, but there's plenty of medicinal uses for it. I tend to explain to people it's a concentration thing. When people come in here and they want to know, are you a medical dispensary? Well, no, you do have to have a recommendation or a prescription for that. It's kind of the same thing. You can walk in any store and buy Tylenol, but you have to be prescribed Tylenol 3 because of the concentration, right? So, but for a lot of people, Tylenol helps just fine, right? Mm-hmm. So it's kind of the same thing with this. The concentrations are a little bit lower, but for most people, especially if you're not used to it, you don't have a tolerance or whatever, it's still very effective. But again, with that, there's a lot of different products out there that either are ineffective or, to be honest, a little too effective. So.
Correct. Without the proper research, a matter of fact, Bobbie said, Rick, I have a blog I want to put out there because there's some information floating out right now, and it's up to the consumer. That's the caveat peremptor. Let the buyer beware. Educate yourself and ask the questions to Bobbie in one of those, and this is an incredible chart. You had this up since day one. This isn't the quote-unquote head shop, because there's a lot of myth informations, and there's also valid apprehensions. So folks, if you have any apprehensions, be sure to come on by, ask the questions. Don't worry about what your neighbor thinks, because they were probably left here 10 minutes ago. You know what I'm saying? And it's all about seeking some relief and help in an educated way and the best way for the consumer. So like cannabinoids.
Yeah.
You dropped that word on me, I think, maybe when I first came in here. I said, what did you say? So talk about that.
Yeah, it's kind of something I take for granted that I just know now, but there are chemical compounds in the plant. They're known as cannabinoids. Many of them are high enough concentrations in the plant that if you just use the raw material plant, you do get plenty out of it. There are some more that exist in such low amounts that you don't really get the effect, so you do need to extract it and concentrate them a little bit more, which is fine. It's okay to do that, but kind of where it starts getting a little bit sideways is whenever it starts being totally synthesized a lot of the times, because when you start getting into that, you don't really know what the risks that are involved with that, and a lot of the chemicals that are used in the processes to make that, it's up to a responsible party to then get all that stuff back out of it. And to be honest, that costs more money, and if they feel it's already expensive enough, they just kind of work that out and just say, okay, well, it's whatever. Put a disclaimer on it, and okay. But who reads disclaimers? Not a lot of people, So, but it's just a hard thing for people to get sometimes, because it looks like when you're looking at it at face value, everything's the same, but it's really not,
And then the blog you're addressing too also is more focused on the vaping aspect of this and how that is synthesized. Am I right?
There's a big aspect to that, but pretty much all these cannabinoids are used in multiple delivery systems here. I mean, vaping is one of the most popular ones because it's an instantaneous sort of thing. Now, in the state of Louisiana, we have banned all cannabinoids for the purposes of inhalation. One big part of that, I believe, is because if you ingest something and it has some bad chemicals in it, not great, right? Well, but then again, that's kind of the purpose of your liver, is to go through those things. If you're inhaling something, it goes from your lungs to your bloodstream, and that's it. There's no filter. So whatever happens is really immediate, and not to mention the fact that when you start talking about, toxicity and things like that, I mean, a lot of it is respiratory, right? So and these days, whenever it comes to respiratory things, we don't really want to mess with that too much. But having said that, though, these chemicals are not good in any form inside of you sometimes. So, and I don't want to pick too much at, I do name two particular new cannabinoids that are out there. Well, they're not really new. They were discovered many, many, many years ago, but they're just now having a resurgence because marijuana is not federally legal, so everybody's looking for whatever the closest analog to that is. So, but again, that can lead you down a hasty path sometimes. So.
Bobbie Williams, 1620essentials.com, 1620essentials.com. Again, in Ruston, right across from Super One. It's the store to your left as you're walking in, or to your right as you are walking out. So walk in here, ask the questions, future blogs as well. Be sure to get in touch with Bobbie to answer these questions, because once again, educated consumer is the best customer, and we encourage you to ask all the questions and come on by. And matter of fact, where you buy is just as important as what you buy. So make sure that you have a comfort level after you make your purchase. And so let's touch on a couple of the misunderstandings from folks, or questions that, because you've been here 6 months, people are walking in with 3 questions that they're like, take care of those right now.
Well, probably the number one biggest one that people always do is they come in with their phone out with a picture of something that they've tried or somebody else tried or whatever. Hey, do you have this brand? Whatever it comes down to it, to be honest with you, brand isn't as important right now in this. I mean, it is because you want to have somebody that's reputable, obviously, but at the same time, as long as you're doing the right concentration of something, correct dosage, and the right delivery system for you in your particular instance. And that's some of the things that we talk about. But another thing when people ask me about this product or that product or whatever, the funny thing is you don't really have to know anything, right? If you go into a store that's selling reputable things, and the reason that we do know that we're selling reputable things is because most people are unaware that the Department of Health actually goes through all these things, right? Whenever if a company wants to sell something in this state and I can sell it over the counter here in the store, it has to go through an approval process. They approve the labels, they approve the lab reports on it, and once that's out there, you can sell it. However, the enforcement level is semi-sparse at this point. They are hiring more people, they're trying to get more out there, but that leads certain companies out there that are just falling through the cracks and are just selling kind of whatever, lowest margin stuff. So, that's a concern, because if you don't know how to do the research individually on that product yourself, or you just don't have the time or the inclination to do it, you may be getting something you don't mean to. So.
One of the things you address in your article as well, read the article, the links will be below, is that the state of Louisiana actually is doing something good and taking the lead in the United States that people are not aware of. Touch on that.
That's kind of surprising, actually. Yeah, most places are banning a lot of these cannabinoids, especially ones that do give you more of a feeling that's similar to marijuana. There are some good health benefits that come with that in the low dose version, and they've recognized that, and they are actually regulating it, whereas other states around us like Mississippi and Texas is trying, they're trying to ban a lot of these products. Well, we're just looking at it case by case and saying, okay, this individual product we know is produced safely, is out there, the right people are putting it out, and we're okay with this, and we put it out. But the problem is you don't know one product from the other unless you're in the industry. Now, there is a public list that you can go on Department of Health's website, and you can look at the entire list and say, okay, this one's okay to do. So, but again, if you find a store that's doing that already, you really can skip that step to a degree. I mean, here, that's what we're selling.
Sure.
That we start with that list and work our way out. And there's more stuff getting approved all the time. They're making that whole process quicker and easier. So, that's going to ramp up quite a bit. But, sometimes people get let down a little bit when they come in and they don't see this gigantic selection of things. Well, it's just our hands are tied in that regard.
Sure.
We do get the best of the things that are on the list, but the list is small right now. But it's getting bigger and bigger as the months go by. So.
All right, any questions, make sure you stop by 1620 Essentials, 1620 Essentials online, 1620essentials.com. Episode 2 here, is your cannabis safe? And matter of fact, ask before you receive.
For sure.
In this day and age, everybody's saying be safe. Well, let's be safe in this regard. Bobby, I appreciate your time. Thanks for all that you do.
Thanks for coming by. Appreciate it.
You're welcome. Once again, ATL-Ruston.com, ATL-Lincoln.com, a landing page, if you will, to send local traffic, local information, local events, keeping folks informed so they can get involved. And, as a matter of fact, you're finding out what I'm kind of digging about this, Bobby, and maybe you could testify to it, is that as we serve the local community and people's heightened awareness on ATL, all things local, it seems people who are not local are leaning in, looking in, and asking, and so you'll take the out-of-town business and inquiries as well.
For sure. I mean, anything we can do to, push this industry and push our local community out into the world. And I mean, we know it's cool. Might as well tell everybody else it's cool.
Yeah, we're here. We know it's cool. All right, Bobby, thank you so much. Till next time, we'll stream you later. This is Rick Godley at 1620 Essentials in Ruston.